Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live for the first qualifying round of the Academy Cup, brought to you by SOP Motorsport and Coach Dave Academy. So the guys have had their qualifying sessions. TRL is the man on pole position. He is followed by Ampio, AJ to the P and Twitch Wake. All these guys were doing 2-minute ones, and they are your top four. Just outside of the top four then, you have got Tag McLaren. He is there in 5th place. Hard Cactus is in 6th. You have CRN Shadow lines up in 7th. Tico lines up in 8th. The Mighty Iggy is in 9th, followed by Rappy Official. Okur is just outside the top 10. He is your 11th placed man starting today, followed by Van Strail Paul, Shaka Zulu, Madeira, Stefan and Red Flyer bringing up the rear of the field. So we will ride on board with Ampio. There was less than 1/10 separating TRL and Ampio for pole position in qualifying. AJ to the P was a further half a second behind these two, followed by Wake. And we are in for an action-packed evening because this is the first qualifying round at Silverstone. We have the second qualifying round later on this evening, and the top 5 do go through to the grand final on the 23rd of November. But we wait for them to negotiate the final corner, and we wait for the flags to drop, and we will be green and away.
Green light, give it all you can.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Ampio does indeed get the jump, but he is on the outside, so TRL will hold the lead going through the first sequence of turns. Ampio is there in 2nd place. AJ to the P holds on to 3rd. Wake is your 4th place man. They all seem to negotiate the first couple of turns quite safely, but they're coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. Hopefully no one loses it through there. They give space right through the field, it seems. So we are all systems go, ladies and gentlemen. TRL is the man in the lead. He is closely followed by Ampio, AJ to the P and Twitch Wake. Tag McLaren is P5, followed by Hard Cactus, Tico, the Mighty Iggy, CRN Shadow, Van Strail, Rappy Official, Nakur, Stefan, Shaka Zulu, Madeira and Red Flyer bringing up the rear of the field. So everybody's been nice and clean this opening lap then of the Academy Cup, brought to you by Coach Dave Academy and SOP Motorsports. TRL is slowly making a gap from Ampio then, up to half a second already as they're coming through the final sequences of turns to complete lap number 1. We'll just ride on board with AJ then. He's sandwiched between Ampio and Twitch Wake. These front 3 then, they were quite predominantly featuring the Pro Series that we ran recently. That's just finished last weekend, and so we were able to launch the Academy Cup. So this runs through the whole of November, ladies and gentlemen. Ampio was your Pro Series champion. AJ to the P was the runner-up in that series. Wake wasn't able to make every single round, but he did feature at the front in the rounds he was. As Tag McLaren is holding on to the back of Twitch Wake then. Those 5 have pulled just a small gap now, almost a second to Hard Cactus, who's got Tico just behind, followed by the Mighty Iggy and CRN Shadow, who is pressuring in. Up the inside he goes then. He's going to be on the outside and then back up to the inside, going through Maggots and Beckett. Can he get the move done? We'll ride on board with Shadow and Iggy. He holds the inside line and he does get the move done. Fantastic racing by these two then. We'll wait for the cameras just to readjust as we watch them all exiting Maggots and Beckett's. Down the back straight they go, the hanger straight. And we're all right on board with Shadow and Iggy. They're just inside the top 10, those guys. Welcome everybody to the stream. I can see you all there in chat. Thank you for joining us this evening. MSX, nice to see some humans in here. Yes, indeed. I mean, these guys at the front are certainly almost alien-like, as Ampio is now trying to challenge. He's actually trying to get passed back by AJ to the P, who has made his way up into second place. And I missed that one, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, he's managed to find his way past Ampio. He got the move done, but whilst those two have been battling, there's now a 2-second gap to TRL. Can AJ to the P close that gap with 41 minutes remaining? It's quite a sunny afternoon here at Silverstone. Track temperature at 26 degrees. We will wait for it to rubber in just ever so slightly more, as we do have a fast track currently that should turn to optimum as it gets rubbered in. But the race did begin at 5 PM in the afternoon, so we will be moving into sunset territory around this Silverstone circuit, as AJ to the B is indeed reeling in TRL. Now he's found his way past Ampio, because Ampio is almost 1 second adrift all of a sudden after half a lap. Twitch Wake is closely followed by Tag McLaren, and those are the top 5. Hard Cactus, Tico, the Mighty Iggy, CRN Shadow and Vanstrail make up the top 10 in this Porsche Academy Cup race. So as they do exit Maggots and Beckett's for another time, there's quite a lot of similar liveries, ladies and gentlemen, at the rear of the field here. Seems to be a popular choice amongst the guys this evening. But Vanstrail is just 2.5 seconds adrift from Shadow there. He's holding on to that P10, but he's got Rappy Official and Shaka Zulu breathing down his neck. All these cars are so closely matched, so it is just down to driver ability, unlike the GT3 or GT4 cars that we do tend to race week in, week out. All these machines are absolutely identical, so it comes down to driver performance, the best setup, who can get the best out of their machines, as TRL just pulls the gap out to 2.1 from AJ to the P. What are we looking at for lap times? Easthood Racing has asked. So pole position was a 2-minute 1. The top 5 all done 2-minute 1s in qualifying. They're going to be just off that pace now in the race, but as the fuel does burn off and the track rubbers in, I'm sure the guys will be able to get down to those sorts of times once again. As we are riding on board with the lead man TRL. 3 laps complete around this Silverstone circuit, then 38 minutes remaining. He's got a gap of 1.3 seconds to AJ to the B, so he's lost half a second. That last lap to AJ, Ampio is a further second behind, and he's being hounded by Twitch Wake. His Twitch Wake is less than half a second behind now. He's going to be in that slipstream territory if he's not careful. Ampio will have Twitch Wake all over the back of him very soon. 1.1 seconds further back is Tag McLaren, and Hard Cactus is closing in on him rapidly then, as he's looking for a move up the inside. He can't make the move this time round. Tico another 1.4 seconds further back. He hasn't got anybody pressuring him from behind, so he's just got to get his head down. He can go on the attack mode, get onto the back of Hard Cactus, and hopefully he can make some moves up the field during this race. Iggy is the man holding P8, but he does have Shadow breathing down his neck still. CRN Shadow almost never made the ceiling because he's picking up a brand new track racer rig. As we look to just outside the top 10, then Vanstrail is leading that trio of cars. Rappy Official, Shaka Zulu, then a bit further back is Madeira, Closely followed by Stefan as Nakur has dropped down. I'd missed that one, ladies and gentlemen. He's dropped down to P15. He was running mid-pack as we do have a spinner. Shaka Zulu is a spinner. I'm wondering if there was contact there between him and Stefan then, because those were following each other rather closely. We'll see if there's any damage on board these machines as we watch this race unfold. But we will turn our attention back to the lead car then, TRL. He's completed 4 laps. He's on lap number 5. The gap is now steadied at 1.4 seconds. So AJ to the P must have made a mistake because Ampio is 0.2 of a second behind him. He is breathing down his neck. He is all over the back of that Porsche machine. And he will have the slipstream coming through Magnussen Beckett's down to the hangar straight. Right on board with Ampio. Will he be able to get a move done into the fast right-hander? The Pro Series champion chasing down the guy who finished runner-up to him. So 10 minutes complete, ladies and gentlemen. TRL is your lead man. He is 1.5 seconds ahead of AJ to the P. Ampio is closely followed then. He's looking to make moves. He's looking to regain that second place position. Twitch Wake is holding 4th. Tag McLaren is holding 5th. The top 5 do go through to the grand final on the 23rd of November. That event is held at Spa-Francorchamps. And obviously the winner of every qualifying round gets their hands on a Coach Dave Academy setup bundle completely free of charge. The podium is the one to watch in the grand final then, because they'll be getting a split of $100 courtesy of Coach Dave Academy. So the overall champion of this Academy Cup event will be walking away with the $50, 30 for second and 20 for third, which will be a nice prize to walk away with, especially if they win a Coach Dave Academy setup as well for winning a qualifying round. Good evening, lollipops. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us in the chat. If you haven't already, like the stream and subscribe to the channel. I see we are just 2 away from 300 subscribers, so that's fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. We will ride on board with Ampio then. There has been no change in the front 5, but Ampio is still right on the tail of AJ to the P. He seems to be able to take more speed into that fast right-hander, Ampio, but he just can't get the move done because AJ recomposes himself and he just seems to have a better exit around these sequence of turns. And as these two do battle, TRL has managed to pull a gap of almost 2 seconds then, so he is away. We'll just have a look what's happening a bit further back, because there was a spinner with Shaka Zulu then. I'm not sure if that was self-inflicted or if there was some contact, but I haven't been able to see any damage on these cars. So he might have just lost the rear of that machine himself. Nakur's made his way up into 12th position. He was running at the rear of the field. And it's a good battle developing between these final 6 drivers then. The drivers just outside the top 10, all closely matched. Obviously right now Hard Cactus is in P6 and he is the first of the runners and riders who will not be making it to the grand final. So he's going to be doing everything he can to try and catch up to the back of Tag McLaren and make a move on the number 71 machine. As Hard Cactus is just 2 seconds adrift of Tag McLaren, so he is just dropping back ever so slightly. I wonder if he's just pushing that car a bit too much, so he's just making a few costly mistakes. A few 10C in there, but He's not closing up onto the back of Tag McLaren. So he has all the work to do this evening as we ride on board with Tag McLaren, and he's 1.7 seconds adrift of Twitch Wake, who is now climbing all over the back of Ampio. Then we've got a fantastic battle developing between AJ, Ampio and Twitch Wake, as TRL is just away with the wind. He's now 3 seconds ahead. So as this trio of cars do battle, they're slowing each other down. You just need to finish in the top 5, boys. You will get a position in the grand final later on in the month. So we'll ride on board with Red Flyer right at the rear of the field then. It hasn't been his afternoon. He's having a lonely race at the rear of the field, some way behind Stefan Chakazulu and Van Strail then, so he's having problems this afternoon. He is 21 seconds behind Stefan, and we've had 15 minutes of this race complete, so 30 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. The track temperature is at 25 degrees. So there is no mandatory pit stop this afternoon, so it is a 45-minute sprint race. So it's all about getting the right fuel into these cars, as Van Strail is looking for a move up the inside, is he? That's Nakur. He gets up the inside. Van Strail loses his braking zones and he is off the track. He has to concede that 11th place position, and he's lost another place then to Madeira then. So fantastic comeback driving from Nakur after his early mishaps, because he was running within the top 10 and he's now finds himself back into 10th position. This is a good recovery drive. He was as low as 15th place only a couple of laps ago, but he is 16 seconds adrift of the mighty Iggy, who is holding P9 at the minute. He's 2 seconds further adrift of Shadow, as Shadow then is getting onto the back of Tico. 1.2 seconds is the gap between those two, but he is closing, ladies and gentlemen. Shadow is closing on Tico. As we ride back on board with Ampio then, he is hounding AJ. He's looking for a move up the inside. He's got the move done. This is fantastic, clean battling as they do touch. AJ to the P is going to have to concede as he's looking for a move back up the inside. We'll stick on board with this trio of cars. Don't do anything stupid, guys. You've secured a place in the grand final later on this month. You don't need to be hitting each other off the track. When the visor goes down, you have that red mist, don't you? You don't think about the future. You just want to get that position cemented, signed and sealed. Ampio is there in second place now. He takes up the running of the trio of cars between Ampio, AJ and Wake. A bit of door rubbing going on between Ampio and AJ. These two were in a season-long battle during the Pro Series, and they're at it once again in the Academy Cup. As you can see, those battle wounds on the inside of Ampio's Porsche there. So we'll ride on board with AJ then, because he's now coming under a bit of pressure from Wake, and that has also allowed Tag McLaren to close up to the back of this trio. He's now only just over a second behind, so he is slowly closing as these three continue to do battle out on track. That's allowed TRL to pull 5 seconds ahead. 27 minutes remaining. Absolutely fantastic stuff from these guys. We'll have a look back to your number 10 man. Okay, he's 17 seconds adrift now, so he's managed to close 3 seconds on that lap. He was 21 seconds, he's now 17.7, so he's got 27 minutes to try and close up to the back of the mighty Iggy. I don't think he'll have enough in the tank to make it into the top 5, unfortunately, as Hard Cactus is your P6 man. He's followed by Tico and Shadow, and these guys then are just going to be just outside the top 5. They're just going to be missing out on a place in the grand final, unfortunately, as Tag McLaren is holding the final qualifying position. Twitch Wake is just watching on between AJ and Ampio. He's probably licking his lips and rubbing his hands thinking, come on boys, do battle once more and I can be the big beneficiary from all of this. Now, as Ampio has found his way past AJ to the P, he's also closed the gap to TRL then. So these guys behind TRL do have the pace to be running at the front, but because they're battling between each other, they are slowing themselves down. But 4.6 is the gap between TRL and Ampio. They're your top two. AJ to the P, closely followed by Wake. They're your third and fourth place. Less than half a second separates these two, as these Porsches are spitting flames then, as they're downshifting through the gears, getting the car slowed down and turned in. For those guys watching on, if you're in the qualifying round 2 at 9 o'clock, you have just over 1 hour to prepare yourselves, guys. I hope you're watching and taking tips. As TRL is on lap number 10 then. He took pole position. Pole position was less than a tenth from Ampio. He held the lead into the first turn then. He was challenged by Ampio on the outside, but Ampio could not make it stick. And since then, TRL has pretty much been unchallenged, because there's been a race-long battle between Ampio, AJ to the P and Twitch Wake, so he's just been able to drive off into the distance, and bearing no mechanical issues, he's booked himself a place in the grand final. We have just lost one of the guys. Who have we lost? If someone can let me know in chat who we've just lost, that would be very much appreciated. Nobody inside the top 10 looks to have been affected. But let us know who you're cheering for this evening, guys. The top 5 make it through to the grand final later on this month to do battle for a share of a $100 prize, which is pretty nice if you ask me. The grand final, like I said earlier, is at Spa-Francorchamps, and it will be a 90-minute race in these Porsche Academy Cup cars. Mythical is saying Rappi is best driver. He seems to have picked up some problems, because he is now 23 seconds off the 13th place man, as he does get it all wide. So I'm not sure what issues he's having this afternoon, as we do reach the halfway point in this race, ladies and gentlemen. He's all sideways then, so he's having problems with that car. I don't know if his tyres are completely shot then, but he's sliding all over the place. That guitar dude looking forward to the Barcelona qualifying races. Yeah, so we've got Silverstone tonight, qualifying rounds 1 and 2. And then next Monday the 9th, we have qualifying rounds 3 and 4 at Circuit de Catalunya. So we'll have 40 more drivers doing battle to secure 10 more places in the grand final next week in this Porsche Academy Cup, hosted by Coach Dave Academy and SOP Motorsports. As Ampio has managed to pull a whole second back on TRL then, he's got 21 minutes remaining. The gap between himself and AJ is now 2.5 seconds as Twitch Wake is hounding the back of AJ then. We'll ride on board with Twitch Wake. 0.1 is the gap between these two. Obviously these Porsche Cup cars have a lot less downforce, have a lot less aero, have a lot less mechanical grip compared to the GT3 counterparts, so trying to make a move is much harder. You can't have as much of an effect from the slipstream. As Twitch Wake does just drop half a second to AJ to the P then. So AJ can breathe for one more lap before Twitch Wake comes back at him, I'm sure of it. 2.2 seconds further back is Tag McLaren. They're your top 5. The top 5 bag themselves a place in the grand final on the 23rd of November, Monday the 23rd, ladies and gentlemen. Write it down in your diaries because that grand final is going to be one to watch. Just outside the top 5 is Hard Cactus. He's some 6 seconds further adrift now, unfortunately, so it looks like he will not be making the grand final this afternoon unless he can perform miracles. Tico there, a further 8 seconds adrift, still closely followed by Shadow. Those two have run nose to tail for the majority of this race then. 0.3 is the gap between Tico and Shadow as they do negotiate Magazine Beckett's. Shadow hasn't been able to find a way past Tico yet, but he did close that gap down nicely. I'm sure he will be able to position that Porsche Cup car in places it shouldn't be to get a move done. We will wait to see, ladies and gentlemen. As Shadow is looking for a move around the outside then. Tico very early on the brakes then. Shadow was not expecting that. He had to move to the outside. He's definitely got the pace, Shadow. We'll ride on board with these two. As Shadow is putting the pressure on Tico then, who is going to come out on top in this battle. Tico 12 and 7. CRN Shadow in 8th. As Shadow has once again just dropped back. And no, he hasn't. He's made the move, ladies and gentlemen, right round the outside. Tico dropped it. Tico succumbed to the pressure of Shadow, and Shadow is the beneficiary here. He has moved up into P7. Fantastic pressure in there from Shadow to get a move done. Tico made the mistake. He got it wide, and Shadow got the move done. Come on, you CRM boys, if you're watching here tonight, give him a holler. He's moved up into P7 now as CRN Shadow. He does have 9 seconds to Hard Cactus, who is having a lonely race in P6. And the Grinch has asked, hello boys, did I miss much? Well, you haven't missed Christmas yet, Grinch, so be prepared for that one. We have had a pretty much incident-free qualifying round 1, which is fantastic to see. TRL took pole position, less than a tenth of a second from Ampio, but he has been able to pull out a gap at one stage of over 5 seconds, whilst Ampio and AJ and Wake were all battling between themselves. Ampio has been able to free himself of that battle, and he is now reeling in TRL for the lead. The gap has come down to 3.8 seconds, and he does have 17 minutes remaining to make the move if he wants to take the win in this qualifying round 1. AJ to the P has dropped a further 5 seconds back then. I'm just wondering if he's picked up a little bit of damage when Ampio and AJ made that slight contact, but he's been able to keep Wake behind him at the minute. Wake has always been around half a second behind AJ to the P. I'm sure he knows he's bagged himself a place in that grand final, so he's not doing anything stupid. Tag McLaren is just 2.3 seconds further adrift of the top 4 then, and these top 5 do secure a place in the grand final. 7.5 seconds further adrift is Hard Cactus, and 9 seconds further adrift is Shadow. Tico, Iggy and Van Strail, who has pretty much held P10 for the majority of this race, is holding off the pressures of Nakir, Stefan and Madeira, as Rappy Official has come into the pit. So his race has run. He had problems, we're not sure what these problems were, but with 15 minutes left to race, he has had to come into the pits. Unfortunately, Red Fly is some 41 seconds adrift at the rear of the field. It hasn't been his afternoon. So we are down to just 14 runners and riders then, as we do lose Rappy, unfortunately. So we've lost 2 drivers from this opening qualifying round, ladies and gentlemen. He's called it a day, which is unfortunate to see, as TRL still leads the way. Then he's on lap number 15 with 15 minutes to go. The gap is down to just over 3 seconds then. Ampio is making moves. He wants to get the win in this opening qualifying round of the Porsche Academy Cup, hosted by Coach Dave Academy and SOP Motorsports. Obviously the winner of each qualifying round walks away with a Coach Dave Academy setup bundle of their choice, which is a nice prize indeed for the efforts this afternoon. AJ is some 5.6 seconds further adrift, but Wake is still keeping him honest there. 0.7 is the gap between these two. Thank you, Militant. Shaka Zulu was the other retiree from this opening round, which is very, very unfortunate, because he was having a pretty decent race. He was just outside the top 10, but these guys just outside the top 10 have been in a race-long battle, which was fantastic to see. You can see some front-end damage on the front of Stefan's Porsche there, so he's been in the wars with someone. I wonder if it was Stefan and Shaka Zulu who had that contact early on, because Shaka Zulu was a spinner, as Stefan does get it into the gravel. That's not where you need to be. I'm sure these Porsche Cup cars don't have rally tyres on, Stefan. As we look to Nakir then, who is just inside the top 10. He's found a way past Stefan then. The mighty Iggy's running P9 as the flames spit out the back of that Porsche machine. Tico is in P8. CRN Shadow is your 7th place man. Hard Cactus has been running P6 as he's coming up to a back marker, I believe, as he just flashed his lights to notify the back marker just to move over, which he duly did. Good sportsmanship there. As Tag McLaren ACP 5 then, he's 3 seconds adrift of Twitch Wake. who's just holding it steady there. He's been hovering between half a second to a second between AJ to the P. Those guys haven't really done battle. I don't think they need to. They know they booked their place in the grand final. Ampio then can see TRL now in his sights. 3 seconds is the gap. They're on lap number 17 with 12 minutes to go. Once again, thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a good stream to be a part of so far. Quite a few of you tuned in this evening. We're still 2 subscribers away from 300 though, so if you haven't subscribed already, please do. It makes all the difference to us. As TRL then does motor on, he seems to have steadied the gap to Ampio. 3.4 seconds between these two running at the front of the field. AJ to the P, 6 seconds adrift now. So it's not like AJ to fall back so much on these lead runners. I wonder if he is just running some front aero damage after contact with Ampio earlier on in the race. Twitch Wake is now 1.2 seconds further adrift in, so he's definitely dropped out of the slipstream zone. Tag McLaren is 2.7 seconds further adrift, and these top 5 have an 11-second cushion to Hard Cactus in P6, who's he's had a lonely race. Hard Cactus, after the initial couple of laps sorting themselves out, he's found himself in P6 and he's just kept it on the tarmac, kept it steady, and he's just been in a race of his own. So Shadow has moved up to 7th, then he had a bit of a comeback drive. But he is 8 seconds adrift of Hard Cactus. Tico is some 5 seconds further adrift of Shadow now then, as a back marker does get out the way, but that does allow Iggy to close up on the back of Tico. We're right on board with these two. I wonder if Iggy will be able to challenge Tico, as his top end speed would have been compromised just trying to avoid that back marker. I wonder if the mighty Iggy can benefit from this. We'll watch these two through Mags and Beckett's. Tico nice and tidy then keeps it on the road, as you should. The mighty Iggy just closely following him. Let's see who gets the better exit out onto the hangar straight. So Tico does hold position from the mighty Iggy, can't close up this time around. Some 28 seconds further adrift is Stefan, who is coming under pressure from Nakur. Then Nakur has just dropped out of the top 10 once again, so these two are having a good battle between themselves for that 10th place position. As we do have 8 minutes remaining on the clock. Track temperature actually dropping then, 23 degrees. But we have got a rubbered in track then, ladies and gentlemen. It has turned to optimum, so I wonder if that's just played a part on these tyre temperatures and tyre pressures. Maybe that's a reason why AJ is falling back, because his tyre pressures and tyres are now not in that optimum window. Ampio though, he's 2.7 seconds away from TRL. Then is he having a late charge on the leader of this race? TRL has led every single lap. He took pole position. Can he have a clean sweep this weekend? Only Ampio seems to be the one looking to challenge him on that front. As we're right on board with Ampio then, 2.8 seconds is the gap. So he's lost a few tenths through Mags and Beckett's. And these cars are all so closely matched that you just have one bad exit, you lose so much time. These guys have to really be on it then. Every single corner of every single lap, they need to extract the maximum they can from these Porsche Cup cars. And they're no slouches, these Porsche Cup cars. The lap times, you know, pole position was a 2:01 dead. So some of the GT3 cars, some of the guys in the GT3 classes are lapping in the 2. So it goes to show you how fast these Porsche Cup cars are. Obviously they have a lot less downforce and a lot less aero, so the top speed is going to be maximised at a place like Silverstone where there's long straights. And we're right on board for a full lap then with your leader of Silverstone. TRL is leading the way. He is on lap number 20 with 6 minutes remaining. He hasn't put a foot wrong all weekend, ladies and gentlemen. He is the man looking to take the win in qualifying round 1 of this Porsche Cup series that is running through the whole of November. This evening we have qualifying rounds 1 and 2. They are both at Silverstone. Qualifying rounds 3 and 4 are next week, Monday the 9th. They're going to be at Barcelona, so that's going to be another top end speed circuit. And the top 5 from each qualifying round do bag their place in the grand final, which is going to be held at Spa on Monday the 23rd of November, which is going to be one to watch. There's over $220 worth of prizes being handed out during this Academy Cup series. Each winner of each round gets a Coach Dave Academy setup bundle completely free, and then the podium finishers in the grand final take a share of $100. And I don't think there is another competition like this right now on PlayStation format, so it's a very exclusive competition happening here, ladies and gentlemen. This Porsche Academy Cup, sponsored by Coach Dave Academy, hosted by SOP Motorsport. There are still some spaces available in rounds 3 and 4, so if you're not in the Discord server, you should be. That's where you can get involved with all these events that we hold. We do sprint series, we do endurance racing, we do GT4 racing, we do GT3 racing, and obviously you are watching these 2017 Porsche Cup cars do battle in the Academy Cup event, which is held through the entirety of November. As we have 3 minutes remaining, then we'll go through the runners and riders one more time. TRL leads the way, 3.2 seconds is the gap to Ampio. Twitch Wake is now moved up to 3rd. He is some 11 seconds adrift as Tag McLaren moves up to 4th. Problems for AJ to the P then, he's dropped right down the field. He's holding P5 currently, but Hard Cactus is closing rapidly on AJ to the P. He just needs to finish in that 5th place to secure a place in the grand final. He's dropped down from 2nd early on in this race to hold P5 with 2 minutes 50 seconds remaining, so problems on board for AJ to the P. We missed that one whilst I guess I was just blabbering on about the Academy Cup competition that we were holding. AJ's dropped from 3rd to 5th. I'm not sure if there was any contact or He's just made a costly error because Twitch Wake has been the beneficiary. Then he moves up to third. He was a second adrift of it, AJ, so I'm not sure they had it coming together at all. But he is your P3 man today. The final podium position around Silverstone for qualifying round 1. Tag McLaren is 4th and AJ to the B is holding P5. Hard Cactus there in P6 with Shadow in 7th, Tico in 8th. As he has just lost the position to Mighty Iggy then. Mighty Iggy has moved up to 8th. He's found a way past Tico. Stefan is in P10 and he's being closely followed by Nakur. Those two have been doing battle for this entire 45-minute race, it seems. Van Strail then is in P12. Madeira is P13. And credit where credit's due, Red Flyer has kept going even though he's 2 laps down to the rest of the field. It's nice to see people not just leave the session when they've had problems. Every lap is a learning lap, I like to say. As we do have 1 minute remaining, so will TRL manage to complete this lap to get 1 more lap under his belt around this Silverstone circuit? He's got 5 more corners to complete. Good evening, Nelson. Yes, it was a very nice clean race, to be fair to the guys out there this evening. The guys kept it clean at the start. There was absolutely 0 contact from any of the guys, so they all completed lap 1 cleanly, and they've just been able to motor on and do battle where necessary and have the race that they needed to do. As TRL then does come round for 1 more final lap. 5 seconds remained and he was able to move on to 1 more lap, so 23 laps will be completed when he crosses the line for the final time. Ampio is 3.3 seconds adrift. He's going to be bringing it home in 2nd place. Twitch Wake has done enough then in 3rd place to bag himself a position in the grand final later on this month. Tag McLaren moves up to 4th after AJ to the P had problems. They are your top 5. It looks like it's going to finish that way unless there's more problems for AJ, which we are not aware of. Hard Cactus is 7 seconds adrift. He is the unfortunate man just outside the top 5. He's going to be the first one to miss out on a place in the grand final. Shadow then, he's had a brilliant race as Shadow. He's not quite been in the top 5, but he had some fantastic overtaking opportunities and maneuvers. The Mighty Iggy is running P8, Tico is P9, and Stefan rounds out the top 10. Everyone pretty spread out now, as Nakur is the only man looking to make moves. He is looking for a way right round the outside of Stefan. He's looking to switch it up to the inside. Can he get the move done on the very final lap? Van Strail is in P13 and Red Flyer does bring up the rear of the field. But we will ride on board with your race leader. We will close out this qualifying round 1 with TRL, ladies and gentlemen. He took pole position. It was a very close pole position from Ampio, less than 1/10 of a second in it, but he led from the start and he has led every single lap. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's just managed to maintain that gap at the front of the field as he flashes the lights, and he does take the win. TRL is your winner in qualifying round 1. He will pick up the Coach Dave Academy setup bundle and he has bagged himself a place in the grand final on Monday the 23rd of November. Ampio brings it home in 2nd place. He had a solid drive after an early battle with Wake and AJ to the P then. Wake brings it home in 3rd. He'll be happy with that one. Tag McLaren brings it home in 4th after running 5th for pretty much the whole race. AJ to the P then is the final man to secure a place in the grand final at Spa-Francorchamps later on in the month. The first man to miss out is Hard Cactus. He brings it home in 6th. Shadow brings it home in 7th. And Mighty Iggy then bringing it round the final turn to bring it home in 8th place. Tico brings it home in 9th, and Nakir has managed to secure the final top 10 position. He's got a back marker just in front of him, I believe, but Nakir has moved up to P10. He's got Stefan still trying to make a move back up the inside to reclaim that place for right on board with these two. Has he got the move done? The back marker's getting in the way. Stefan then, he's holding the inside line. He's managed to take back 10th, is he? He does indeed cross the line in 10th place. The back marker then causing all problems between Stefan and Nakir. He didn't know where to put himself. Madeira brings it home. Van Strael is the final rider to round out qualifying round number 1, ladies and gentlemen, as Red Fly was already 2 laps down, so the checkered flag has been waved for himself. So give these guys a round of applause. It's been fantastic watching these two battle around Silverstone. Qualifying round number 2 will be with you in just under 1 hour. Please do tune back in for that one. I'm sure it's going to be as exciting as this opening round. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, and I will catch you soon.